Hey, welcome everybody to another episode 1019, The Watch Commander. We had technical issues. And we're not going to name names.
Yeah, I'll blame it on Ken. Let's roll.
Let's do that. Blame it on me. And welcome everybody. And we got people going. We've had people on here before we even went live. They're going, I can't hear anything. It's because we're not live, you guys.
Yeah, we're not on.
We're not even on yet, but we are here. And as you know, the interwebs do their own thing. They have a life of their own. And that's what happened tonight. So here we are. And I want to say hello to some people here. GJ.
Yeah, GJ. Greg, you're first, man.
Bob Rifkin is here. Hello, Bob.
Hey,
and
Bob.
Look at this here. Zippy's here. Zippy in the house. And what is that? What is GJ talking about? NF. I don't know what he's talking about.
Who knows?
Let's see. Randall Glenn is here from Canada. And Randall, I got your information. I'm going to send it to you that you requested. And PB says, April Fools, this is Richard's fault.
Oh, no. For once, it's not my fault. I can blame someone else this time.
Oh, my. We got... yeah, we sure did. That's exactly what we did. So
the hamster died. I had to put a new one in the wheel.
Do you know that must have been done the trick because you turned the router off and you're coming in very nicely now. Oh, so Juno's here.
Don't jinx
Oh my goodness. Cops in the news. Steve Gould all the way from Massachusetts doing police work right now. And he decides to join us because he likes the show. And we do a Cops in the News show every other Monday on his Things Police See podcast. So that's a blast too. We got some stuff going on here tonight, you guys. We got stories. And we got a couple of stories that we're going to do, but then it's going to be LASD in the news after that. Rich is here. Rich, welcome back. You woke up this morning, so that's a good thing.
Hey, every day above ground. Every day above ground is good.
Hey, I think Marakich just said it well.
Rich is
I might be on painkillers, Mark. I might be. And maybe.
So you had a little thing that you did. You couldn't be here last week, but you managed
minor procedure.
Minor procedure. Just back fusion, multiple incisions. Good times.
But you did well.
Thanks, Juno. I appreciate it.
And you guys
Mike says everything's good.
Oh, it's outstanding. Mike, you look extra handsome tonight. That's good.
Who are you talking to? This is a computer I don't usually use, and it's actually one of the better that I have. So,
yeah,
surprise.
That's pretty cool. And this came up on my radar. I thought I would throw that up there. I like that a lot. You can do a lot of things with AI. But what's going on? First off, I want to find out what's happening with you guys this week. Rich, what have you been doing besides taking painkillers and things like that?
Mm-hmm.
Watching a lot of TV and reading a lot of books. It's been a pretty down 2 weeks for me.
Question for Rich.
Yeah, they just had to go in a different hole. That's what
you probably wish it was a colonoscopy.
I absolutely wish it was a colonoscopy.
Yeah.
Back surgery is no joke. But hey, anybody that pushed a radio car for 10, 15, 20 years knows that back pain sucks and it's always there forever. So
yeah,
finally got
it now.
Finally got it taken care of.
Yeah, I think every cop has some kind of back something. You don't get.
I don't know one that doesn't.
But you know what's really cool? These young kids nowadays, they got these. I don't know what they call them. They're tack vests or something like that. So all the weight. Vest? Yeah, it's all the weights on up here.
It would be great if the LASD would approve that for all patrol use, but yeah, that's unfortunately not a thing on our department.
I don't know if LAPD does it, but it would have been neat if they came up with it like in 1980. That would have been pretty cool. But yeah, so I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thank you, sir.
We're always thankful to have you back here, and you're feeling, considering you look very well, like you're not in pain or anything. So,
like Mark said, there's nothing like painkillers and Jack Daniels.
Yeah. Injectable Demerol, man. I know where he's at.
Absolutely.
We've got some stories here tonight. What's going on here with this thing? I'm gonna bring this up here. So, do you want to start with the stories? You have something you want to bring up?
I think we'll just hit it and bring shit up as we go. How's that?
All right. So this first story really pissed me off because this is over here in Rochester, New York, and there was I don't know how you guys would deal with it, but a backup dispatch puts out a backup call. And, when an officer needs a backup or something like that, what do you do? You go, right? You don't sit there and go, hey, what's the backup about? What are they doing? What do they need a backup for? No, you just, whatever the policies are for your agency, you go lights and siren, you go quickly, you bust some lights. I don't know, whatever you do, but you go because it's a backup. Well, apparently the backup in this Rochester sanctuary city was ICE. And so they go and they do their thing and blah, blah, blah. The mayor gets work. Look at the mayor's picture in the back on the left. He looks super not happy about this. And then the chief wimped out and chastised the officers for going to back up ICE, and because they're a sanctuary city. But you know what? I get it that it's a Democratic mayor. He's a piece of crap. But when chiefs do this, what do you guys think about this? When you see a chief up there in a news story, at a news conference, chastising his officers for going to an officer needs a backup call for fellow law enforcement. What do you guys think?
He's not a chief, and he needs to step down.
Yeah, he's obviously not a cop.
Yeah,
All a politician.
I've said this 100 times. I would never disregard a help call from any other law enforcement agency. And if that's what he thinks needs to be done, he shouldn't be the chief of police.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's a disservice to his community. It's a disservice to all of his officers. It's a joke.
Yeah. I can see why you got riled up, Ken, because that's just it's pathetic. And obviously, where's this at? Massachusetts or wherever the heck?
No, Rochester, New York.
Rochester. Yeah, New York.
Rochester.
Okay. Shame on them, man. Shame on them. Shame on the mayor. Shame on the alleged chief of police and anybody else who got mad at the guys.
Yeah. I think it's pretty sad when there's sanctuary cities, but I think it's extra moronic when a chief of police buys into it instead of just going, oh, yeah, okay, mayor, whatever you want, whatever you guys want to do, city council, it's cool. But to come out in public and chastise his officers for doing police work,
Yeah.
I hope this guy doesn't put a help call out or a assistance call out and none of his guys show up because, whatever reason. But if he put a call out, a backup or something like that, I would assume that he would expect his guys to show up.
Well, yeah, the sad thing about it is, who's he beholden to? He's beholden to the mayor and the city council and the city manager.
Yep.
And if he doesn't do what they say, he's gonna have to take his bald ass somewhere else.
Yep.
Sorry, Rich. No pejorative, man.
It's quite all right. It's quite all right.
And looks like it might be Trevor in there. What if he requested a backup? Nobody went. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Bob's bringing up a point which may or may not be relevant. Bob is indicating here that the city cops took over the case. And if that's the case, they shouldn't jump in and take it. I mean, they should back up the other guys. But, you do what's safe, man. You got to do what's safe. And I guarantee you a lot of those DHS guys don't know what a traffic stop is, let alone how to conduct one.
Yeah, I can't agree with Bob on this, but the thing is, though, he wasn't there to said he doesn't want he didn't say don't roll because he wasn't on the radio at the time. But there was a supervisor that said, okay, everybody, stop doing whatever you're doing. There was a supervisor who did that. But the thing is, though, that in this case, if law enforcement puts out a backup call, you go. If you get there and everything's secure, you don't just sit there and jump into the call and it's ICE, then you know what your city policy is. but you take care of it. But initially, when you hear the call come out, don't you go? I mean, it's a backup call.
Well, and I beg to differ a little bit here with Bob, because you're still a frickin' cop, and you get there, and if it's clear that the other agency or the officers are out of their depth and things could turn to shit based on what you see as based on your experience and training, maybe you should jump in. Even if he's annoyed about them jumping in, why would he do a press conference on it? Why doesn't he just pull them aside and say, "Hey guys, good job, but don't do that again"?
Right. Yeah. And again, we don't know exactly what happened. I rolled the backup for DHS, ICE, things of that nature all over. And they come two ways. They either have 10,000 armed officers for, 4 suspects, or they come with 2 officers for 1,000 suspects.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen them blow things out of proportion. And I've also seen them get just absolutely underwater with something very, very simple and start screaming for help. But, as we said before, go assist the coppers on the ground, do what needs to be done. And then once it goes code 4, let them handle their own investigations.
Yeah, debrief it later. But I would not be out there second guessing them using their experience and training and what they felt like needed to be done. Why would I do that? Why would I publicly call these guys out for doing their job?
Right. Yeah. Right. That's just wrong. That's just bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, it's something simple. It's in your blood, if you hear a backup call, you're going to go. And I don't think, and obviously dispatch is the one that sent them out. So if a radio operator tells you there's a backup call, here's the location, are you going to argue? Are you going to argue? Are you going to go, who's requesting the backup?
Well, or if the policy is just go out there and back them up and don't do shit, maybe the RTO should have said, just go back them up and see what's up, but don't take over the call. I don't know. I would defer to the officers at the scene who are more tenured and let them make the call out there. What if they just stood by and picked their noses and shotgun came out and somebody got their head blown off?
Yeah.
You'd have to get both sides of it. You got to see what the cops are thinking.
Yeah. And it would have been okay if the chief had said, hey, I don't mind them going and backing up, make sure everything's code 4.
Right.
And then they just kind of like, let ICE do everything's safe, let ICE do their thing, but then don't get involved in it.
Yeah.
But he didn't do that.
That should be a policy then, if that's the way they're going to roll with that.
Yeah. So.
But the problem with this is something we see happen way too much over the last 4, 5, 6, 7 years, is a chief or a sheriff who is beholden to, their liberal mandates, lays the people out, lays his own personnel out to save his own face, which this is kind of what that sort of smacks of.
I feel
like his job's beholden to the mayor. Why not? Yeah, he's got
to. Right.
Hasn't Luna done the same thing where he laid out deputies at news conferences before?
On a daily basis, yeah.
Yeah.
So who's he beholden to?
Well, you know what? The ultimate layout was when he just stood there silently when Gascon disrespected the memory of Klinkenbrummer and his family that was right there by saying he wasn't going to file a death penalty case, completely backstabbing the family that was standing right there and ambushing them with the news. And Luna just stood there with his hands in his pocket. That's a backstab.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and Grant Holman is supposed to go out there and meet with the union, and the union came out pretty strongly, told the chief to take a hike, and they were backing the officers. So that's a good union when they do that.
Yeah, you have to back them.
Yeah,
why would you not back them if they didn't do anything wrong?
I don't
What's your story, Ken? What's going on?
I don't understand the wrongness of backing a cop. I don't know where you went wrong on that one, but this is all Monday Morning Quarterback. It's after all the stuff, and the chief said, "Oh, from what I saw on the body worn camera, man, dude, you saw everything after it was already over, and now you're all righteous about it." And
isn't that kind of like Luna saying, "Oh, this is disturbing"?
Oh, yeah,
it's the same thing. Prejudging a case before it's even gone forward, right? Oh, this is very disturbing. Well, law enforcement is disturbing at times. It's not all pretty. It's not all passing out the lollipops to the kids. sometimes danger is afoot.
And I think we've all seen things that in patrol on calls that were probably a little bit more disturbing. And you just need to take a seat, Sheriff Luna.
Well, and in the time of body worn cameras, one camera doesn't tell the whole story either.
Right.
Having gotten to investigate things where there are multiple views and multiple different camera angles and different, sides to every story, one video does not an entire case make.
Right.
And so especially when Luna comes out and says, "Oh, this was very disturbing," as that's what he says to everything. Well, look at the 10 other video cameras. Look at the CCTV of the location, things of that nature. It's very easy to go off of one view and jump to conclusions.
Well, don't you think he was probably pre-programmed to say it was disturbing because he had the mirror right there staring at him, the back of his head?
Absolutely.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah.
He wants to make sure that the next 15 days he gets a paycheck.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's probably the way it works there. Do what I say or else you're not going to be the chief anymore. Oh, I'm so offended by this. And
right.
Whatever, dude.
Whatever.
Mike, what's going on here in Seattle?
I don't know. Did I give this to you or did you give it to me?
Oh my gosh, this is live. Mike sent me this, but I do happen to know what's going on with this.
Well, I know what's going on too. There's the city of Seattle, a council member. I think he's probably a conservative or maybe even an R after his name, but they want to come forward and to say that the defund the police movement has completely failed, and they need to extricate themselves from it.
Yeah, they're Seattle after defund the police. I think they went down close to 1,000 officers. They lost a ton of officers.
Yep. Yeah, they lost a whole bunch of them.
Aren't they at historic low or something for the agency?
Yes.
Yeah. You know what? Gee, what a surprise. And you don't have any backup. All cops are bastards. F the police, defund the police, screw the police. Yeah. How come the police are leaving? What's going on? What a shocker.
And their woke recruiting agenda, they were recruiting to DEI candidates, and that's how they decided how they were going to do this. And then when 2020 came along and they defunded them, even before 2020, they were offering a $15,000 lateral bonus. They couldn't get people to apply even before 2020.
Oh God.
2020 comes along and they do defund the police and they start talking trash. They surrendered a police station for Chad.
Yep.
I remember
they
that.
They surrendered a police station. And then now where are we now? This is in 2020. Here we are in 2025. And in 2025, 5 years later, they go, hey, so we want to distance ourselves from defund the police. They should have done that not. And then at least in 2021, this ain't working.
Right.
Yeah.
Too much, too little, too late.
So I think GJ's up in that area. The only cops they have are libs. That's not working either. So
aren't you up that way, Ken?
Far north.
I mean, you're in the state though, right? What happened? Did Ken go away?
I think Ken froze.
Okay, I think we probably hit him with a question that he couldn't answer, so he just gave up.
It's very disturbing.
Yeah. Well, let's see.
I know our department had a couple of people come from the Seattle area as laterals. I know LASD had a few laterals from the Seattle and Tacoma, Washington areas. It's kind of crazy. It's just nuts up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too bad.
My interweb acted up a second ago, so I don't know what I said or where I cut off.
Well, you weren't saying anything useful, so we didn't really miss you.
That's for an hour and a half. That's nothing new here, guys.
Yeah. We're good. I think we just put the blame where the blame belongs, and
the blame where the blame belongs.
Pretty much.
Oh, yes, sir.
Oh man. So this next story. Okay, let's go into LASD stuff because.
What does he mean? You look like the Joker when you froze. Were you like?
I did. Did I really? That's awesome.
Leave it to Bob. He's quite the observer.
I have no control of that. I have no control of that.
No, I was actually I was happy it was you instead of me because for a second I thought it was me again.
Yeah,
So
it's okay.
share the love. Let's move on.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna let Mike take over the rest of the night.
Well, you know what? Rich is going to have some input on this too, I'm sure.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, the sheriff's department, they just had a story come out. Well, this one's by Carrie Blakinger, but there was also a TV news story about it where the bus issue has gotten so critical that there are days that an entire courthouse has missouts for inmates. They don't get a single one there. And it's been going on and on. And this is actually a pretty complete story. Carrie, if you're out there, I'm actually, impressed with this part of it because, we've been told a lot that it's the Board of Supervisors' problem. The board didn't do this, the board didn't do that. Well, this story points out that over the years, I think since 2018, going up right into today, that like if the sheriff's department requested, let's just say $50 million for transportation, for buses and radio cars and vans and things, and if the board comes up with like 23 or 18 million instead, the department did not buy a single bus. What they would do is they'd spend the money on everything else. So it's a conscious decision that was being made by the sheriffs. I mean, this goes back to Alex's time too, I suppose. So
it goes past Alex. It goes before him.
Okay. Well, you're going to have more to say on that, I'm sure. But I think that to me, it shed the light on the fact that it's not all the board. If they give you $20 million, that's 20 buses if you want to do it that way, or at least a couple, but they weren't spending it on any buses at all. And I know that the courts they got their dander up and, that's a contract. So I don't know how long the judges are going to put up with the department not getting everybody to court. Rich, take it from there.
Hang on just a sec. PB, wasn't the sheriff just bragging about our new buses? He was talking about a new bus.
He was talking about a bus. And I guess every 6 weeks, they're going to get buses. And I think it's going to add 20 buses in a year, which means they'll have 28 or 30. Where's the other 50? Right? They let this get way too down into the sewer before they start doing something about it. And it's not going to get better quicker, that's for sure. It's going to take a while.
Do they have personnel to man the buses?
No, I'm sure they got bus drivers, but what do you do with them when there's nothing going on?
One of the problems is they've been taking that money for new buses and trying to throw it at maintaining the old ones they already have. But when you have a fleet that is as old as our fleet, they don't make those parts anymore. They don't make anything to fix those buses with. Plus the fact, the wonderful state of California says you can only have X amount of emissions per vehicle. So that's another slam for the department too. So the buses are more expensive. But in typical department fashion, like you said, Mike, we get $20 million for 20 buses. That $20 million went everywhere else but buses, went somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Then we bought an electric bus, which couldn't make it over the Kellogg Hill over to the east part of our county. That's amazing. That's just, short-sighted. Can it make it up to Wayside and get up over, the Calgrove Pass? I don't know. I never worked TST.
I guess if you get going fast enough.
Right? Well, if you just get two radio cars behind it and push them.
Right, and hope the brakes hold, yeah.
Hey, who needs brakes? Come on. I know of courts that were sending out, the court radio cars to go to CJ to pick up bodies, to IRC to pick up bodies, to other places to pick up bodies so they could go to court. And people rail on it being, just the judges are upset. Oh, we need to get these inmates in all the time. State law says we kind of have to. It's part of one of the main jobs of the county sheriff is to get these inmates to court. But how about the detectives that have to go and build a case and then go to court? And then they show up and inmate never made it in. So we got to reschedule that. Well, we'll reschedule it the next day when that detective is being carped into the field or a mandatory overtime spot in the field or something along those lines. And then your station, your unit is mad. Where's that detective who's supposed to be carping? He or she's in court because that bus didn't make it there for those inmates to whatever court it is. This has been going on for 20 years, Mike, where TST didn't have a bus to go here, didn't have a bus to go there, didn't have a bus to go here. Working overtime in the courts, staying there till 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night so we can get a bus to take the bodies back from court to custody. And what happens then? The ACLU gets mad at us because now we've got inmates that are not being properly cared for, fed, etc. It's like a snowball. Don't buy buses, and then we incur lawsuits.
Well, it's a snowball on top of snowballs, right? I mean, it's just
exactly
with this agency right now. It's just one thing after another. You know, how many times do you stub your toe on issues like this? And
right.
and you know, we haven't even mentioned. I mean, there are people who are in jail that like would be getting out if they were going to court and getting their court dates, and
Absolutely.
people that are going to be over detained, and just it's a morass, man. And I just don't know how they fix it that quickly. I mean, where are they going to come up with 50 buses? It's gonna take years.
So here's my question. Here's my question to the LASD guys: is that you've got a 911 system dating back to the 80s? You've got buses that are falling apart. Who's in charge of this stuff that is necessary to run the sheriff's department?
Robert Luna, current sheriff of LA County. Right?
This is his baby. He is in charge of the whole kit and caboodle. I don't think he understood when he ran for sheriff and became sheriff that this is 4 departments in one. It's not just patrol. It's not just custody. It's not just the bailiffs. There's 4 completely different departments in one little building, and it's not that easy. And finding the right people to run each of those departments is not an easy task, especially after a whole bunch of people. I don't want to say they were run out of the office, but they were kind of run out of the office about 8 years ago, 7 years ago, whatever it was. So it's a big problem.
Yeah, amen. It's just compounded daily. I think I would say that it actually is a disservice for Luna to actually have won, because he doesn't understand the intricacies of the department. He's trying OJT. He's in his 3rd year, and he's not doing any better today than he did his first day in, as far as I can tell.
Yep.
Sad. Pretty sad.
So Dave Elsass is bringing up some pretty good comments here, especially regarding buses not getting cleaned. Food in buses, just a total mess at the TST compounds. It's those little tiny things that build up to a great big thing. It's kind of crazy. Again, that's one of those things that I don't think Luna realized, that he has got a massive machine that needs to continue moving 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's not putting, butts in the back seats of radio cars or anything like that. That's moving parts that it takes experience. It takes guys and girls that have been doing that job for years and have moved up the ranks to do the jobs that they can do, which is figure out how to get these buses moving, how to get inmate workers, how to get things cleaned.
Has anybody tried explaining the bus problem in the form of a comic strip to Luna?
Well, you know what? If anybody can do that, Grant, I think you can do it. You get it going, and we'll get it.
That's pretty sad.
Yeah, I remember he was crowing about that one bus that came in, and sitting there like he was happy, like he was Ralph Cramden, right, being a bus driver. But that's one bus, 5, 6, 7, 8 years late, when they're supposed to be doing at least 5 a year. That's just to keep up breaking. I saw I froze for a second there, but he's clueless. He thinks one bus is going to solve the issue.
Oh, it doesn't even begin to put a finger in one of the holes in the dike of the broken system. I remember when we opened up a second TST unit up in the North County. So we had a North and a South. Well, right now we don't even have enough to do South County, let alone North County and South County. It's just ridiculous. We've heard stories of deputies from stations having to transport their bodies from the station to court for arraignment. So we don't have an over detention. So we don't have a past due arraignment, things of that nature. That shouldn't be a station commander's job, figuring out how a custody unit is going to get his inmates or her inmates to court. That's not a deputy's job. That's up above, and that sits with Luna.
Yeah. Mike.
Yeah, I agree 1,000% with Rich.
1,000%. What's happening with the feds going after the sheriff's department now besides the buses and the 911, the feds are opening a DOJ investigation? What happened, Mike?
The CAD system, the suicides, the training mandates not being met, no freaking buses, radio cars with a bazillion miles on them. People are burned out and tired, and they don't want to do the job anymore. Oh, wait. DOJ is going to investigate the sheriff's department over gun permits. And, I actually have a couple of friends who are in the gun permit process, and they'd call me and say, is it like normal that it's 1.5 years before you hear anything? And I'm like, well, with this department nowadays it is. And, they're trying to pawn it off on, we just don't have enough people. Yeah. And we got a backlog. Well, you got a backlog because you're not doing them. I personally believe that he is slow walking the application process. That's my personal belief.
He is, and it started with Luna. Slow walking it. Luna drug his feet on it too. Per Luna, he's a lifelong liberal Democrat, and I don't think he liked the fact that the laws changed and that there was mandates of shall issues. And so I know that slowed everything down. I know that created a small problem.
Well, you know what? It looks to me like it's not a small problem anymore. It looks like it's a big problem because the Fed's going to knock on the door and get to the bottom of what's been going on here. And I understand also that the department's charging more exorbitant fees than other places do. And I remember back in Alex's tenure, there was an issue there. There was a kerfuffle about a couple of employees that were pay to play or getting money for his campaign or something. It's like, what the hell, man? It's like you said, you stick a finger in one hole and another one pops up.
Pretty much. And we're like several sheriffs in the past, Luna loves creating new units, new ideas. Let's pull a captain over here. Let's grab a couple of lieutenants. Hey, those 3 sergeants can come over here. We'll take 8 deputies for things that we didn't need, for units that it makes absolutely no sense. And so, yes, of course, we already have a staffing issue, but let's pull half a dozen bodies off the line, or let's chart these crimes or something along those lines, that we have perfectly excellent civilians doing that same exact job. Now let's have sworn personnel do it. Makes no sense.
Well, I tell you what, I'd sure like to see their out of hide report and see how many sworn items are out of hide in all these jobs that they have them in. Man, I'll tell you what. If I was sheriff,
how many units have deputies that have been on loan for 2, 3, 4, 8, 5 years, whatever it is.
Yeah. I know it also, it goes down to CAs too. A custody assistant is supposed to be a custody assistant. They're not supposed to be secretaries or, gophers for brass or whatever. I bet you right now they've got dozens of them out of the custody area and doing admin jobs, wearing street clothes, and it's like, man, what are you doing? Yeah, and all the deputies that could be out there working the field, like you said, in these little specialized units, dude, this is not the time or the place or the era to remove people from your main core values, which is custody and patrol, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
We got a little video here.
Bring it.
The U.S. Department of Justice demanding answers from the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department regarding concealed carry permits for firearms. The DOJ said yesterday it wants to know if gun owners' rights are being violated. Investigators are looking into what they call excessive fees and long wait times. They also want to know if the Sheriff's Department is violating people's constitutional rights. The investigation is part of a broader review of gun laws in our state and others. The Sheriff's Department says it respects and upholds the Second Amendment. They blame limited staff and a backlog of applications for the delays in permit approvals.
Well, there you go. That's the answer.
I guess if it were that simple, the DOJ would have just called, asked the question, got the answer, and walked away, but they didn't. So
Right.
I guess now we get to see there's got to be more of a backstory to it, unless it's just like the old DOJ where they're going to pick on a big fish to sweat them to get the other little fish to get into line. I don't know, but like I said, the department, man, this administration can't get out of its own way.
No, and every time one thing pops up and they sort of put one to bed, something else pops up, which is just crazy.
This is big stuff. And then you've got two or
Dave's
three
right.
you got 2 or 3 deputies that just got arrested in the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
You've got a department in chaos. You've got people taking their own lives. It's just like never ends. Every month there's something else with this department.
This thing that Dave brings up, to me, that's a long-standing issue. The custody assistants don't have any kind of promotional path. So, if they can get out of the custody environment for a while and work in an admin job, they love it. But, again, if I were sheriff, they would have a promotional path to 2-striper, sergeant, who cares? Custody assistant, CA, sergeant, who cares? A lot of them, they've given their professional careers to the job, and they know what they're doing, and they can handle it just as well as a sworn sergeant can. I'd like to get Rich's viewpoint on this, but I would
agree with you.
I would raise the percentage. You'd have to go through ALADS, POPA, I guess, to hammer out a deal, but I would make it a higher percentage of custody assistants in a lot of the spots, and get those sworn deputies out of those custody spots quicker, and give the CAs a promotional path, which will make them hopefully stay inside the custody environment and not try to, filter out into these admin jobs.
Agreed. I don't want to make it sound like I'm hating on the players, because if I were somebody sitting in a dorm at CRDF and they said, "Hey, Rich, you want this job? Monday through Friday, weekends and holidays off?" Yes, I do. And thank you very much. I'm not upset at anybody that has taken any of those jobs that the sheriff has created, because you got to play the game, and that's playing the game. It's not.
Yeah, but they're creating them out of hide. That's the problem. And,
absolutely.
And the CAs are making a lot more money than some of those ITC jobs.
By far.
So they're paying more money for the same job. Yes, sir.
Something Wong wins the internet with this. Yep.
Well, you know what? We talked about that too a little bit. Not just the chocolate cake factor, but every time an issue pops up, right? Deputy gangs, deputy force, suicides. All of a sudden, that is Luna's number one priority.
Oh.
He has like 50 priorities, and it's no wonder that none of them get handled. Either he's got people giving him the wrong right people, or I'm sure it's a litany of things. I know I froze.
How sad.
I say that goes back to getting rid of a whole lot of tenured deputies years ago that probably would have been really good in positions taking care of some of these 15 top priorities that he doesn't have time for, and the people around him don't know it either because they weren't there. It's a never-ending cycle.
All the chiefs under Alex.
Yeah. Chiefs and commanders that probably should still be sticking around. I know there were more than a few of them that left earlier than they wanted to because of political climate. They knew they were going to go nowhere. So
yeah, and then then he gets stuck having to promote sergeants, lieutenants, captains up to assistant sheriff, under sheriff, like in a week.
right.
That wasn't good. Bad news.
No.
Well,
what do you do?
What do you do?
I don't
In
know.
other news,
That's a very good question, Ken. That's a very good question.
I know what you do.
I have a couple answers.
You get a new sheriff, right?
You get a new sheriff.
Yeah.
Well, in other news, an LAPD sergeant won $4.5 million from the LAPD in a lawsuit today because he reported misconduct. Somebody was putting in for overtime at the Transit Bureau that when they weren't working the overtime, and then he was retaliated against for disclosing this misconduct, they started picking on him. That happened. Cost the department $4.5 million. And he's retired.
Good for him or her.
So good for him.
I'm happy for him.
Yeah. $4.5 million because they picked on him.
Yeah.
But
how does that shit keep happening? I just don't understand it.
Yeah, because I feel like it's
something.
I feel like it's ping pong between LASD and LAPD. Who's in the news today? Ping.
Oh, you know what? We used to back when I was in patrol back in the day. We would do something stupid. We would do something stupid, and man, we just sit around and go, you know what? Any day now, LAPD is going to bail us out, and it was always just we would have this. We'd have the Rodney King, and then they'd get the Rampart thing, and then we do this and they do that, and I think it's been LAPD's turn for quite a while now, though, doing stupid shit.
Oh, it's definitely their turn. It's definitely their turn.
Yeah. Well, there's been some pretty good capers, and Luna is the one that's leading a lot of this stuff, but it's just a failure on the part of the leadership at LASD, and Luna has to take responsibility for it, and yet he doesn't.
Well, it's the lack of leadership, Ken. It's a lack of leadership.
No,
when
he keeps saying that, right? It's like, well, if you inherited it, wouldn't you have fixed it like 2.5 years ago? It's just
right.
Nope. Yeah, I'll tell you what, though, it's his number one priority.
He did do that video on the bus, and he was very, very excited. I mean, come on, Mike. That was a very exciting day when that bus.
Well, after that, they were going to have some celebratory cake. That's what he was looking forward to.
I was told there'd be cake.
This is just a freaking bus. Where's the cake at?
Cake.
No, I mean, like I said, he was like all proud of it, and it's one freaking bus. And at that point in time, it's like, okay, that's one. You need 70 more. Where are they? And it's just, I don't know. I think I would have probably reached out to CDCR or Chippies or somebody to borrow some.
I bet he was going to say freaking buses.
I just reminded myself of a news story that I'm going to see if I can pull it up. Am I there?
I don't know.
I can never tell if I'm there or not.
I think I'm here still. I'm still here, but my body parts. I keep freezing up.
There's a story I want to see if I can pull up something here that came out today. It just cracked me up. Where is it?
I'm seeing Elliot Hernandez talking about the overtime. I'm assuming he's talking about LAPD and the overtime with the MTA and the buses and whatnot. Yeah. When I worked TSB, I was a field sergeant at our Transit Services Bureau, planes, trains, and automobiles, and I left there just a couple months before LAPD took over, and we had a big caper in the valley, and LAPD was there, and I used to run into the same two field sergeants, and they were all excited about getting all this overtime and how cool it was going to be, and everything was great. Flash forward about 2.5 years later, we happened to be in court at the same time for this caper that we showed up, and they were just dragging. They said, it's just, overtime's great, but after a while, mama wants to see you at home. Daddy wants to see you at home. Money's great, but it doesn't run a bureau. nothing but overtime hours. So I'm sure like, you guys are just running ragged.
Well, figure out the overtime budget for custody these days. I mean, it's got to be just astronomical, and all that is a waste of funds, right?
Yeah,
a waste of funds.
Yeah,
I'm not sure I'm going to be able to find this video.
Well, yeah, and then you've got all the triple doubles going on in patrol, and people are just exhausted. I mean, Mike Pippin was just on recently on one of those episodes, and he's like, people are beat. They're
yeah.
can't do the job.
The mandatory overtimes, the carping for detective bureau. I remember the first thing Luna said was, all carping of field units will be done within 6 months of me being sworn in. That's 6.5 years later, and I still know lots of guys that are getting carped 3, 4, 5 times a month, and still having to do 2, 3, 4 times or mandatory overtime spots. So nothing's changed.
Well, and they're still getting called in on their days off. You can't schedule time away because they'll call you. You're getting off a shift, and they're going to grab you and lock down the facility and keep you there.
Yep.
It is an employee nightmare, and I don't see it getting any better anytime soon because, who used to be the best recruiter for us? That's the employees, right?
Oh yeah.
They're all telling their kids to stay away, and then he goes out and hires a PR firm. Now, I don't know if that's actually helping fill in classes or if it's just giving them a bunch of meaningless numbers up front. But, here we are. March and April is going to be the big retirement month. Let's see what happens. We're not keeping up with attrition.
We haven't been keeping up with attrition for a couple of years, Mike.
Yeah, I believe it.
We've been having.
Yeah, usually you try to at least keep up, as people attrit out, but the way people are galloping out of here, with the early retirements and lateraling out and just saying, screw it, I quit. It's just off the charts.
Oh yeah, the young deputies. Well, nobody can afford to live in LA County and work in LA County on the sheriff's department. So you have to live out in Riverside, San Bernardino, something like that. They drive through, 4 different jurisdictions to get to their station or custody facility. Why would they not look at one of those agencies that they have to drive through for a better job?
Mm-hmm.
Or not a better job, different job, better pay, closer to home.
And a more supportive environment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But no Dave Elsass, we're not giving up any of our deputies to your evil plan. All right.
Well, that's all the stories we got. Thanks a lot, guys.
Bye.
I was looking for this story. I saw a clip on it today.
Well, wait a minute. I sent you an email. Let's talk about Baker to Vegas boycott.
Well, I was talking.
Can you? I just sent that to you. Can you
need to not talk while I'm talking. I need to go in the corner, and Zippy's going to be mean to you right now. No, I don't want to talk about my story.
That would never happen.
I was going to mention that San Francisco came up with this brilliant plan for red lights. That if the cameras, the red lights, you go through the red lights, and it's on a sliding scale. If you're rich, you pay full price for the red light. If you are homeless, you pay like 20% of the fine. And you wonder how a homeless person is driving a car and running red lights.
With
but
insurance.
Then different people are different walks of life. They get fined differently. Mike, go ahead and talk because now I have to find that story.
Well, let's see. There's been a couple articles out, and we've talked about this issue recently. We're talking about the boycott of Baker to Vegas, and as I recall, a couple. Apparently, it's taken off by wildfire, and my understanding is Baker to Vegas is this next weekend, right?
I believe so. Yeah. Next weekend or weekend after.
I kind of think this weekend, but I could be wrong. I think it ends right before the roundup starts. But last I heard, somebody put something out that said 20 teams from the sheriff's department were boycotting. Then it went to 26. My understanding is now that it's at least 30 different teams are boycotting And if you take into account that, these bigger stations, they'll have 100 people go, people to going along to root on their team, and, the drivers and the backups and the runners and all that. You're talking close to 3,000 personnel from the sheriff's department are boycotting and not going to Baker to Vegas. And there it is. Ken, thank you very much. Let's see. They have Palmdale, Lancaster, Santa Clarita, West Hollywood, Lost Hills, Malibu, Compton, Century, Lakewood, Temple, Crescenta Valley, Altadena, East LA, Industry, Pico, Lomita, Transit Service Bureau, Training Bureau, Men's Central Jail. That's a big one. They usually have some pretty tough teams there. Twin Towers and CRDF. I understand since then, pretty much all of Detective Bureau is boycotting except maybe homicide. That's big, agree or disagree with what they're doing. I will say that they're speaking with one voice and they're very loud and clear about what they're trying to say. Thanks, Grant.
I will say for Temple, Temple pulling out this year is kind of a big deal. They were going to be team number 57. Dave March, who was murdered on duty, was the last deputy to work that unit, 5-7. They no longer have a unit 5-7, so all Temple Station deputies were going to run with Dave March's number on their chest, and that was a big sense of pride for the anniversary of Dave's murder. It's huge, and for them to pull out in solidarity is saying that's kind of a big message to Luna. This is something that I know that for a couple of years they were looking forward to, being able to wear Dave's unit number in honor of him. So them pulling out is kind of big.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Ken.
I was just going to say, GJ has a good question, Mike.
That's up to the individual personnel at individual stations. They have to make that determination for themselves. I will say that, there's a couple that I don't see on here that don't surprise me. But I think the deputies, if this is their point, I think they're making a good point. And it's to be seen whether or not Luna even acknowledges it. He would go over there and he would take pictures with all these teams. Now he's just going to be standing up there on an empty stage, I guess. Maybe he can get a picture with tape face or something when he's over there. But there's not a lot going on for him to be proud of. Like I said, Training Bureau, Men's Central Jail, some of these other, Crescenta Valley, Altadena together, Lakewood, a lot of those teams are really good teams. And the fact that they're pulling out tells me that they're putting the team over self, which, I applaud that.
Yay. So April 5th, 4 days away.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like a 2-day race, right? Probably 5th and 6th. It ends on Sunday, I think. So
yeah,
running. So it's the 5th and 6th. And right after that is the roundup in Laughlin. So there were going to be a whole lot of people over there in the Vegas, Nevada area, but I guess we'll see what happens.
I haven't heard anything.
But I'm going to say it was like grassroots too. It's just like one station decided and they got together with others, and every one of those is an individual decision being made by the individual facilities. So it's not just, wasn't coordinated, I guess what I'm saying, right?
It doesn't sound coordinated. It sounds like you said, Mike. It's grassroots. It had its beginnings with the deputies. It wasn't anything controlled or anything like that. It just popped up, and it's great to see. It's sad to see, but
you're right. I mean, it's great to see and it's sad to see. I will say that the deputies are the ones who are living it, and it goes way beyond Trevor Kirk, in my opinion. It's not just because of the injustice, what happened to him, but it's what they're all experiencing these days. They're tired. They're not being listened to. They're being treated like crap by some people out in the public, and they're also being treated like crap by some people on their own department or ignored, and they're not being given the respect and the understanding that they deserve. So my hat's off to them.
What do you guys say to the people who say they should not be boycotting this because it's not going to do anything.
Proof's in the pudding, I think.
Right. I don't know. I guess it goes to, where do your personal loyalties lie? It's a personal thing. And I will back anybody that wants to run it. I'll back anybody that doesn't want to run it. It's their personal, what they feel inside. It's a tough call. And I remember years ago there were talks of boycotts, and certain stations and certain units wouldn't show up for whatever reasons here or there. But I think the Trevor Kirk thing it's bridging. Our sheriff's department has its own, the regions 1, 2, and 3, north, south, east, west, whatever it is, and this is bridging geographical areas for the department. I think if Luna is so tone deaf to think that this is not hurting him, wow, this is all in Luna's face.
Yeah, I think this is a seminal event. I think it's a watershed moment. All those phrases you can throw into it, that they have finally stood up with one voice and said no.
Yeah.
Has the union taken a no confidence vote in Luna?
No, I don't think you'd ever get that.
Nope.
Really?
Yeah.
Neither unions.
I don't think they'd take the vote, frankly. At least not at this point. If this carries on to further things, and if the union has to actually step in and start making some calls based on what's going on, maybe they will, but I kind of doubt it. I think the biggest no confidence vote would be next year when he gets voted out of office and has to go back to Long Beach.
You think Long Beach will let him in?
No, I'm just talking about the town, not the agency.
Oh, just checking.
Yeah, come on back. We saw what you did. Do it for us over here. Yeah.
Don't forget the long list of policy violations the sheriff put out because he was afraid of people were being bullied not to run. I wonder if that covered his executives threatening station captains.
Yeah, you remember that that email that he sent out? He couldn't even call it Baker to Vegas. He called it an annual running competition or something. And I'm serious. I mean, he couldn't even say Baker to Vegas.
Right.
And it just to me, it just shows the silliness and the nonsense that goes on up there. And I guess we'll see. I just all signs are pointing toward him doing the same thing. I don't see him being able to crawl out of this mess, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, I got a question for you. Mm-hmm. Do you want people to subscribe to your channel?
I'm begging people. If you subscribe to my channel, all of your wildest dreams will come true.
My dreams will come true.
Yeah, you're wild. That was what was that? Napoleon Dynamite.
If I send you a list of my wildest dreams, Mike, will you just check a few off?
I already have them here, pal. I know what your wildest.
Okay, well that's true. You do.
Yeah.
Please subscribe to Mike's channel. It's very important. It costs you nothing, absolutely nothing, to hit that subscribe button on Mike's channel. And
Exactly
also,
true.
Before I forget, we got a book here, and this is pretty cool.
Time.
Damage Control by Dale Hedges. All you have to do is either take a screenshot of that code, or take a shot of it on your phone. And then once you take a shot of it on your phone, you can, I don't know how it works, but then you can click on the QR code, and it'll take you right to his Amazon page. He has it available on ebook, paperback, and hard copy. Damage Control by Dale Happy Hedges.
And if I guarantee you, if you buy a copy and you contact him, he'll sign it for you for nothing.
And
there's actually a couple of people I want to send that book to that we've been talking about what Dale went through. So
yeah. Well, I know that he's taking a bunch. We're going to the roundup this next weekend, and he's been told to bring a bunch because a lot of people want them.
Good.
And it's a good thing. It's just, you read the story, it's just like, holy cow. I've known the guy almost 40 years, and I didn't know half the things he went through. But
I read
it's crazy.
I read his first story, and it's a gripping story,
Mhm.
man. Once you start reading it, he's a great writer.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah. I mean, he asked me if I'd look at it and then do some corrections as I saw necessary. Man, wasn't a whole lot. Yeah, I mean, all that's his voice, and that's the way it should be. But Rich, if you want some, I'm sure we can get Dale to get you a couple autographed copies if you want to get
Yeah, I do want a couple. So yeah, I'll get in touch with him.
Dale, if you're on here right now, hit me up, or I'll text him and get it going for you.
Hit him up.
I'm going to see him, and I'm going to see him like tomorrow or the day after. So,
and you tell him we promoted this.
I'll strong arm him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll tell him
out.
Yeah, and Ken said that he only wanted $20 for
for book.
Yeah.
And also another great writer. Well, I wrote a book called Police Background Investigations Inside the Mind of a Background Investigator. Not that anybody in this audience would buy it, but there are people that come on the channel later on who are police candidates. And you can get this book too. And if you want for free, I'll do a background on Mike. So,
right. Well, it's a niche topic that you have going on there, man.
I do. There's a lot of people that are police candidates that watch this channel afterwards because I get messages and they never say, "Who's that Mike guy? Why is he so mad all the time?" They never say that.
I'm a happy camper, pal.
You are.
I can't even remember the last time I threw an F-bomb on this show. I've cleaned up my act a little bit.
Are you like happy Dale Hedges? That happy?
No, I am just a benevolent Captain Mike.
Rich that's how we referred to you as benevolent Captain Mike. That's exactly
Yep. Benevolent Captain Mike.
Yeah. Oh isn't he being benevolent today?
That was the exact word we used. Yeah.
And if I'm not, Zippy slapped me up, man. So I have no choice, no recourse.
Oh my gosh. Let me see here. Bob Rifkin says it's on Amazon. It absolutely is because that's where the QR code will take you. And look at these people are saying it's a great book. Buy Dale's book. And you can get it in person. You can get it online. And you can get an autographed copy as well. So, if you guys have this on here that you've read the book, it's always good to know. I'll put the comments up and people see it later. So,
hey, Grant, Grant just listed something. I'd be curious to know how many LASD teams are actually listed on that. 100 teams that's from all over the state, all over the nation, all over the world in some places. So I'd like to know. And I do think that the boycott will be noticed by the current sheriff. He's going to have a lot of free time on his hands, I think, the way this is going to turn out.
Look at this, you guys. Oh, so there.
Oh, come on, Bert.
Bert's going to buy my book. That's all.
You know what? He was told that if he bought your book, all of his wildest dreams would come true.
So, is that true?
Probably. No, true? I think his wildest dreams have already come true. So, yeah. I'll have to get hold of Dale. I'll have Dale hook up with you, Ken, maybe. And Rich, I can get some for you because we're close.
Yes, Mark, it is better if you keep it to yourself.
Yeah, Mark. For some man's dreams are another man's nightmare, right? So,
are you like physically close, or are you just close by each other? Because we need to clarify that.
We're just buddies. We're not really physically close.
Yeah.
We've done. You know what? We've done a lot of trips across the country, and
we've gone across the country a couple of times.
Thank you, Juno. Juno's going to read my book too.
Yay!
Here's a comment, Elliot.
Yeah, let's see what
I don't mean to sound cold, but people forget and move on. That's a common thing in law enforcement. I think it's commendable. They're boycotting, but people like the sheriff care less.
He's probably 100% correct on that. I don't think Luna could care less because he knows that even if not one deputy on his department votes for him, he'll
get a lot of votes.
Yeah, he's still going to get a lot of votes. He just doesn't care.
Yeah, but he ain't going to win.
Which is no, he's not. Which is the sad thing, because he doesn't care what his own department thinks.
Yeah, that's you're supposed to do the right thing for your people, man. And if he's doing them wrong like he is, then he's doing the people of County Los Angeles wrong too, because they aren't in the tip-top condition they should be to go out there and fight crime and keep people safe, right? But I will say a positive thing about the boycott is all those people are going to be at their units of assignment and not leaving a skeleton crew everywhere.
True.
Yeah, so that's a good thing.
Speaking of LA County, so glad that LA County stepped up, raised the sales tax to 9.75% to pay for the homeless people. Yes.
Well, that's I don't know if you saw it. Now that you're being a wiseacre about it, but
I am.
The board just voted $908 million out of that Measure A funding and some other places to retool their efforts to combat homelessness. You know what? I wish them luck, but homelessness is a big animal, man. And there are people that are, most of them are drugged up, probably mentally ill because of the drugs or the alcohol. Some of them are just stone crazy, and you can build all the houses you want. They don't want to live inside. They're like feral, and I mean, until there's a better way to take people in need like that, and if they're addicted to like alcohol or drugs, it might be time to 5150 if you can, or figure out some way to get them in to dry them out. Because otherwise they're just wasting their life, right? It's a life down the drain.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I might be a hard ass, but I do have a little compassion for that, because it's just too many people just ending up, dead on the street or living under a rock or a cardboard box or something. And they just slowly go crazy. I've seen, when I worked down at the hall, every day we'd see a couple of these guys coming out of the bushes and stuff, and you see them decompensate. They become stone crazy, and they end up attacking people. And, it's sad,
zombies.
but I mean, to me, it's obvious that they aren't able to care for themselves.
Well, the problem is that this is not 2 years ago we came up with these homeless programs. This has been going on for over 10 years, and LA City is in court. Are they in county court right now, being called on the carpet about all the money they can't account for the homeless funds?
Yep.
So
yeah, Karen Bass threw all this money and built nothing. Did nothing. Fifth and Wall still looks like the way it did 5 years ago. So,
there's probably still some of the same guys laying there that were there 5 years ago.
I'm sure there are.
Out of control. Hey, Grant, are you saying that there's only 6 LASD teams out of the 244 entries? Get back to me on that, Grant, please. Grant.
There you go.
I mean, he's obviously looking it up, and that just shows 6 teams there. And that would normally be about 40 teams from the sheriff's department.
That shows that there's not one station running.
Yeah, and that's kind of the point, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's the stations. There's nobody running from the stations.
You mean I would expect the elite team and maybe the department's women's team to be there, just because that's what they do all year.
Right. I think the women's team's still running. I'm not positive though.
Well, Grant said that's all that shows are those teams that he just named there.
Wow.
So that's actually really impressive.
And Grant's a writer, so I know he does a lot of research.
PDC ranch wide is North, South, and NCCF all getting together to make a team. That's ranch wide. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
So that's interesting. They had to go that far afoot to find 25 runners, right? They had to go to 3 different facilities.
Interesting.
But, yeah. I think we've beaten this horse to death here.
Mike wants to go. Rich?
Well, I mean, dude, I'll sit here all night. I don't care. I got nothing to do. I'm unemployed. I'm a retiree on a fixed income. I got nothing to do, nowhere to go.
You know, it's funny. Behind the scenes, you guys.
Wait a minute. Rich wanted to say something. Go ahead, Rich.
Oh, no, Mike. No, I'm worried about you not having anything to do or anywhere to go.
Well, you should be worried about me. Yeah, I got a feeling I'm going to get busy here in a couple of weeks, but right now I got nothing. Nothing going on.
I'll call Bob up and have Bob do a quick run by your house. Make sure you're doing okay.
I want to give people a little bit of behind the scenes of the program here. Is a lot of times Mike, he gets tired, you guys, and he doesn't want to do the podcast anymore. Okay, and he's got to go. And then we sign off, and then we're on here for half an hour longer talking.
Yeah, well, that's when it gets really fun because I can throw my F-bombs and things. But it's funny. I was having a meeting with some people today, and this lady's giving me all this information, and I just look at it. I go, you know what? You're making me tired. I just cut to the chase or stop talking. You're killing me. I can't take it anymore. And then I fell asleep. But yeah. I mean, it's enjoyable on this end. I hope that people that are out there watching this find it relatively insightful or enjoyable or entertaining or whatever. And I do have to say this is entertainment, right? So when I throw F-bombs, I'm not meaning to disparage anyone or their linear heritage or whatever. It's entertainment, and I understand that.
It's entertainment. It's YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Rich, what do you got to say?
I agree with you 100%, Mike. We're a bunch of old guys who have insights to our old departments and kind of hate seeing what's going on with them right now.
Amen, brother. And I'm sure, well, you just left, but, I've been gone a couple of years, but man, I still keep in touch with people, and it has just gone from bad to worse. It really has. And it's not getting better with what's there now. I think that there are people in spots there that shouldn't be in spots there. And unfortunately, like you said a couple of times, people that really could have made a difference got chased out, and taking literally hundreds of years of experience with them, when they all left. And the guy's not going to ask me for any advice. The only advice I would give him is pack your shit and get ready to get out of office.
Bam. And GJ's telling me how he's going to vamp his Russian lady pal friend.
I'm going to course with my Russian. But is he really sure it's a lady Russian, or is it someone pretending to be?
Don't ruin it.
Oh, he's got it in his mind, man. This babe is the hottest thing I've ever seen.
Hot. She's hot. Yeah. He's actually pen paling with Taylor Swift, and don't tell him it's not her. Because he sent her already $100,000. Okay?
Because she needed it to get back from Argentina because her show was a flop, right? Oh man!
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, that's a rich girl, man.
Rich, what a blast having you on. And you know what? I'm just going to say it. Rich is going to come back. We're going to have Rich back.
Absolutely. Whenever you guys want me back.
Surgery. Well, when in between surgeries, we'll.
Yeah. What do you got coming up next?
Surgery for a little bit.
So you're not getting cut open for a while.
No. I'm hoping this is the last one for a while.
All right, man. Well, we need to get you back. I got to say on air right now, I am going to be out of state, out of the area, no computer next week, so we can't have a show unless you guys want to do one.
I got a day off then, man.
Yeah,
I got a day off.
But you know what? I will return with a bunch of stories to regale the crowd with, and I'm sure over a 2-week period of time, something's going to happen with that cake eating bastard. We're just we'll see what happens.
Could be very, very interesting.
Yeah. And things will be happening. We'll delve into those as they do.
I don't know what this means.
That tribal knowledge out the door.
Yeah.
And Mark is disparaging GJ's love. So that's not nice. And GJ is firing back with great show. Thank you, GJ.
The 400-pound woman is a great show.
Thank you, Kevin. And Kevin's gonna be back too. We got some good folks. We're starting to get our group here of co-hosts here, who are fun for the show, and that's awesome. So we appreciate everybody here. We're gonna get going. And Mike, remember, Mike has something to do next week. We're not going to be on. So
I want to say something about Rich though. Says
okay,
he's not in the
God.
department anymore. I remember when I first met him. I think, were you at Altadena or Crescenta Valley?
Yep, Altadena.
Yeah, I remember. I came in. I was immediately drawn to him because he is a character. He's smart. He's insightful. He is not afraid to tell you how the cow ate the cabbage. And I remember having conversations with some of the chicken shit brass over at Crescenta Valley who were like, "What do we do with that guy? He is just, he's this, he's that." And I'm going, "The guy does a great job." And I think it was they were talking about, should we make him a training officer or will shit hit the fan if we do? You remember all that? I was just like, I'm like, man, if you don't, you're missing the boat. I mean, the guy is a complete package. He's got it all. So there you go, Rich. I backed your shit way back in the day.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. That.
It doesn't mean anything now, but man, back then I did.
It did. It did. Yeah, we've known each other about 30 years, Mike.
Quite a few, yeah.
Yep.
30 years.
I guess you're the one that brings Mark on too, right? Marak.
Yep.
Marat.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, Marak.
My old radio car partner.
Yeah.
I drag him along. I can.
He loves us too. Check that out. He loves us. Bless him.
Peace, brother. All right then.
Mark's
all right.
He's
So
another good guy. Yeah.
We'll see you guys. Oh, look at more Rich stuff, man. Golly. Great mentor.
Thank you. Thank you very much. He's a good dude. He's a real good dude. Yep. Good guy.
Well, if you say so, we say so.
This is a Rich show. The Rich Show.
This is 1019 The Rich.
The
right. I can do that.
I don't know why the libs are so big deal. Tax the rich. I don't understand why that's
I would say stop taxing my ass.
What's the problem, man? So, but all right, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Night, Bunny.
Okay, don't talk during this part. Stop talking. Stop talking, Mike.
No talking. Don't talk during this part.
Oh my God, why?